What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Orion Podcast. My name is Chad Brock.
And I'm Zach Bailiff.
Maybe next week I won't do that different. Welcome back, everybody. Sorry,
She's quiet. I can barely hear it tonight. I'm okay with that. That was a good volume.
All right. That's all right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Orion Podcast, the cooler podcast, telling even cooler stories. Got a little different show for you tonight. It's episode 14. We've made it 14 episodes, which is it's a feat on its own that we've held it together for 14 episodes. And I like even numbers. So 14 seemed like the one to do this over 15. So welcome. Tonight's big guest is, what's the two of us? That's what you got tonight. You're stuck with us too. Something we've wanted to do here in the first few episodes, and kind of get to talk to us a little bit. So anybody that's got questions, drop questions in the comments. We're here for an hour-ish or so.
I expect to see lots of questions.
Well, you're probably going, oh my gosh, we gotta listen to these two guys.
Yeah.
Followers are
nobody interesting tonight.
Nobody interesting. But talking about the Orion Podcast and kind of what we've geared it to be about, interesting people. Cool. It's a cooler podcast from a cooler company telling cooler stories about cooler people. Jean said she was afraid of that. Oh my gosh, that hurts.
See?
Hurts. So it's a cooler podcast telling even cooler stories. And some of our first guests that we've had on, and a conversation that we had today with somebody that we both follow on social media.
Followed for years.
Yes, absolutely. It's inspirational, and I think that's what we want to build here is inspiration to follow your dreams. And that's kind of what the Orion Podcast is about. And our first guest, Jason Cassidy, on the Orion Podcast, he sells his house, moves into a camper, and he is tackling the BOS tour. Not sure if he's in the running for the championship yet or not. We have to call him here in a minute and see if he's in. But then we go on down the line. We've got, I think episode 2 was Nick Troutman, and if you've ever talked to Nick is he's a fantastic individual. He's going a lot of places, doing a lot of things. He's literally all over the place all the time. A very, very big inspiration, a very smart individual. Once you get to sit down and talk to him, and he's an amazing kayaker, to say the least.
Yeah, he does some wild stuff, that's for sure.
And then obviously we had Evan, episode 3. And I didn't know, I learned more about Evan than what I already knew starting out, with his time spending trying to do the Olympic thing. And that was,
you knew Evan a lot through me, but I don't think you and Evan had ever actually got to sit down and have a conversation.
No, not like that. And that was a great conversation. And again, it's that thing where somebody's following that path, and it's amazing what people can do. And I think the world of Evan and what he's accomplished, and in the field of archery and shooting and hunting. I mean, he's been fortunate enough to harvest some big game animals, and that's awesome. It
He's the
really
mule deer
is.
kid, man. He's dropped some big muleys, and that's one thing we've not done a whole lot of yet, just because our time in the fall is so short, So we usually get out and chase after some elk for 9 or 10 days, and then it's time to both go home and hunt our home states. And he's if you don't know anything about hunting in Utah, hunting on general tags in Utah can be very, very challenging, and it's been tough. I know it's been tough for him since he's been out there. It's not a lot different than me hunting here in PA. So.
Right. And then when if you hear dinging, my Meta Business Suite is going off. Thanks to everybody out there punching that like button at Jackson Kayak. We appreciate that. So then the very next episode 4, we had Jameson Redding, Road Trip Angler.
Yeah,
episode 4 of Road Trip Angler just dropped over the weekend at Caney Fork, another one of our fabulous Jackson Kayak dealers. It's been awesome to be part of and watch Jameson as he's went through this process, starting the show, and to see the work that's gone into it and everything. And he's put a lot of time and a lot of energy and his hopes and dreams into this, and it's cool. It came out well.
The footage has been killer. It looks like they've been on some awesome adventures. So
they have, and they've got to go around and visit 4 of our different Jackson dealers, and it's the crew at Heliconia, like you said, they made some phenomenal shots and really put the show together flawlessly, to say the least.
Which for me is I mean, the production quality alone is as enjoyable as watching the actual content that it's around.
Well, anymore. And that's something, we're not big TV show viewers at all. And the two of us, I would say, we tend to cater to YouTube and the Instagrams and the different platforms like that to find things that we want to watch. And I would say that Jameson's show to me was really filmed. It was like a good YouTube that had made it to TV that was still a TV show, if that makes sense.
More documentary style with, nicer cameras.
Yeah. I mean, there's just something about it. I mean, and we'll get into a little bit more of that here in a minute. Episode 5, Yet in YOLO.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still doing their thing, Jeep building and all that.
That dude burns the candle at both ends more than anybody I ever seen in my life. He's always busy doing something. I literally have no idea if he sleeps or when he sleeps.
I don't either. And if you follow them on social media, you would think there's highly likely that they don't sleep. But they put it together very, very well. And both of them are super fun to watch, especially through their Instagram reels and, stories and different things like that.
They're grinding right now, prepping that ADR rig that he built for Pete over at Brownells for a 4-week trip. So he's rigging out a trailer for them to pull behind it so they can carry a little more stuff, and they're gonna hit the road for a big 4-week trip. So it'll be cool to see.
That will be cool to see. We need to talk to him after that too. We need to just have everybody back on just sporadically,
especially after that Arctic Circle trip they're doing. That'll be pretty cool to hear about too.
That will be a neat one, and that'll be a story to tell too. Because I mean, you're talking about the Arctic Circle. I mean, that on its own is just I'm playing our own podcast. Episode 6, Nathan Deppenbrock at Canoe, Kentucky, and
it's a podcast within a podcast.
A podcast within a podcast. But Nathan Deppenbrock, owner of Canoe, Kentucky, came on with this episode 6 and told us a little bit about their backstory on how they got started and how him and his wife came to be, and worked together for a little bit at the shop before they ever got married, which was, if they could spend a summer together, then
if you can handle that stress in a retail environment, you're going to be all right.
Oh yeah. And still one of my favorite shops that I personally get to work with, and you know, they're killing it on the gram too. All these people are Instagram awesome. That's just all you can say
Yeah.
about it. Chris Funk, episode 7,
Funky
Swamp,
Funk.
the swamp thing. I want all these people on so far like back.
Yeah.
Like it's just unfinished. I feel like there's unfinished business. And with Chris Funk, there's definitely unfinished business. And I feel like I want Chris Funk to sit down with us in a hotel room after we've been fishing all day, hotel room cabin, and we do this podcast in a room together after a long day of fishing. I feel like that's how
Take
the
this
Chris
thing on the
Funk
road.
Zach needs a vacation.
I'm ready to get out and go hunting. So I'm ready to spend a week in the backcountry and get away from civilization for a minute.
You've got to start fishing more. You've got to start fishing more. That's just all there is to it. We need to hook you and Russell up, and you and Russell need to go fishing.
Yeah.
Episode number 8, the fearless leader, James McBeath. And James is just James. James is awesome. He actually just got back from a solid anniversary trip that him and his wife took. It was a bucket list trip for him. They just went out to Alaska. Come back with 30-some pounds of halibut that they'd caught out there, fresh halibut. So got to hear a little bit about that today. I didn't get to hear the full story, but he's still on the grind and getting ready for some new stuff. So
gonna be eating a lot of halibut tacos. That's good stuff. We had those when we were up there.
No, I'm sure the JK crew of Canada will not let any of that go to waste. They're probably knocking on his door right now. Number 9 was who was number 9?
I was hoping you had a list up because I don't.
I didn't have a list up. You automatically assume that I'm smarter than what I am, and no, I quit the list because I knew that I was going to hit it again. I can't remember who number 9 was. Not that person wasn't memorable, but let's see here. Number 9.
Funky Funk, James, and then
Lane. It was Lane. So yeah, Lane, another inspiration. We got to talk to him a little bit about conservation, and I thought that was super cool, talking about the wolves out in Colorado and some of the rule changes that they've come up with. And definitely sounds, I mean, it's early, so it's hard to, when you're in that game and you're thinking about it, it's hard to feel like they're headed in the right direction. But
they're already having issues is the problem. The issues that everybody knew was gonna be coming with the wolves is already happening. So there's, a lot of the cattle ranchers are seeing issues. They're losing calves and cows to the wolf packs, and we were already seeing elk being taken down and things like that. So the populations that are already pressured and and experiencing a lot of their habitat being interrupted is, it's only going to get worse with the wolves and the added stress there. So it's a lot of situations like that. They're putting it up to public forum, and you're getting a lot of people voting on an issue that they don't fully understand the consequences of. They just kind of look at it and say, well, wolves were always here. Why don't we bring them back? And it's just not as simple when you've got, humans moving into the habitat. So
yeah, and you've got
lanes. Go ahead.
You've got a lot of people heading towards Colorado moving. I mean, they've got a big population boom right now, especially the Denver area.
Yeah, big time. Lane's been doing a lot of filming. I know he's getting ready to kick off his fall and all the trips he's going to be filming for guys on that. He just had a episode of The Crush with Lee and Tiffany that he filmed last fall on a mule deer trip. It aired today, I think. I don't know if it went on. I'm sure it went on the Outdoor Channel, but it's probably going to be on YouTube here pretty soon, or Carbon TV or My Outdoor TV or one of the streaming apps for sure. But
now episode episode 10 was Faith, Family, and Fishing with Mr. Matt Ball.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a good one for a lot of good reasons. Hearing about what he's doing within the ministry and being out there on the road and building a community around his faith and his beliefs, that he centers his family life on, and all the while getting to enjoy fishing and the different things out there on the road. And it's just a really inspirational story that he's taken it on his shoulders to get out there and do something like that. And I admire him 110% for what he's been able to do out on the road. Episode 11. Dustin Nichols.
Ripping the Reds. That's something we need to go do.
It is. It's, yeah. I actually just posted a reel of Jim Salmons for the Jackson Kayak page right before I came on here. He was in the Blue Sky Boat Works, and he reels up a beast of a red. And
I'd be down for that.
Yeah, we need to make that happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunate thing is it's going to be it's not unfortunate it's going to probably affect your hunting season because it needs to be a little bit cooler.
Yeah.
I don't know what the premiere time is. I really
don't know. We'll have to figure that out.
I just know that hopefully it's a lot warmer down there than it is here when we get to go. Episode 12, The Mountains Are Calling with Fred. Fred was
fun to talk to, man. Yeah. He's got got a lot going on. They're on a sheep trip right now with a couple of his buddies out there that he runs with a lot. So they're all chilling out at about 12,000 feet, spending a lot of hours behind glass every day looking for the right one. So I was trying to find a good ram, I know.
And his photography on the gram is epic. If you guys aren't following Fred online, go back to his episode, check it out. And
he's a creative dude for sure.
And if you can watch the YouTube version, and you'll get to see some of the pictures that he's done, and they're fun. And to hear him talk about how he does them it's real. It's very, very real on how it goes.
The one he posted the other day where he's walking up the side of the tree with his bow in hand, like he's just walking up the tree into his tree stand, was pretty awesome.
That was a good one.
I enjoyed that one.
I got a kick out of that one as well. It was a good one. And then our last episode 13. I'm sorry, Charlie, if episode 13 ended up being bad luck, bro. I'm sorry. Very, very sorry. We got to talk to Mr. Charlie about his striper fishing obsession and some of the shenanigans that they get into down in the great state of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
But and his path to where he's at now with Jackson Kayak, how he kind of started building the boats, and now he's in customer service there in the office and able to help a lot of customers when they have issues and call in. And it's a tough job, but he's very good at it, and he's the right man for the job. But yeah, so 13 inspirational people, and probably people that a lot of you have honestly never heard of. I think
probably not.
Yeah. I think
what's funny is a lot of them have really large followings, but in their own respective areas.
Yeah, very much. And, what we've tried to build here with the Orion Podcast is a genre of different, I would say, activities. I think
we want to, an adventure podcast. It kind of opened us up to be able to incorporate people from all different walks.
Right. It's like having Nick on in episode 2. We know zero about whitewater. I know words like rad and stoke and full send.
Yeah, for sure.
But
you're not going to see me in a whitewater boat anytime soon.
No, I have hit way too old for that. Way too old for that. But some of the stuff
too good for that.
Some of the stuff that those guys do, though, the calculated risk that they take in the whitewater world it's phenomenal, man. And when we go back and how we find these people, these are just people that me and Zach have literally met over the years. through our travels and different things like that. And I think with social media the way it is today, and really how we got our start and to where we are at now is through social media. You get to see, there was a time when you watched TV and you seen the Bassmasters, or you seen Bill Jordan on a hunting show, and those were the people that you followed. And you really didn't follow them. You just watched their show, or you watched the tournament replays and the different things like that. But with social media coming into play, it's really brought forth a whole new genre of inspirational people. You look at the Brandon Polinick out there. There's the post we read today, and has talked a lot about being mental and the determination and stuff like that. But where we've also found that common bond is through the photography side of it, which is neat. Which kind of it's where the passion and the hobby come together, I guess maybe is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And, I think that's a big thing for me and you. We was able to sit here and take something that we like doing. We like going fishing. We like going hunting, but yet we took the social side of it, the photographs and the different thing. And we spent time and we worked on that. We just was fishing because we enjoyed the heck out of it. The photography part of it kind of eased, I guess you would say. It took the, I wouldn't call it a job. I wouldn't call either of it a job, but it made it more fun in its own way.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, fishing's just kind of the byproduct. The work and what I'm really focused on at that point, shooting good images or video or whatever it is we're doing at the time. And that's the challenging part. For me, it's the part I'm always striving to learn more about. I mean, fishing, you're going to learn things as you go, but look how long we've been fishing. And photography is still new and changing. And, you're always trying to develop your own creative style and look and feel and all that. And that's all just developing. And, it's something that eventually I'd like to turn into a career. So, trying to perfect a craft is just one way to get there and get down that road.
Yeah. And I think, when you look at the photos, or you look at, and I reel now, thank you, Instagram.
Thank you, TikTok.
Thank you, TikTok. Thank you, Instagram, for all the extra work. But when you look at those things, it's like we can go to Brandon's page, we can go to Nick's page, we can go to Fred's page, Lane's page, all these different people. We're all in different fields, but at the end of the day, we've all got this little niche for kind of photography in its own way. And that, I think all of us maybe hope just a little bit that if that picture inspires somebody to be interested in the outdoors, it goes a long way. It's those pictures, when I look back at my career at Jackson Kayak, it wasn't the thing that drew me to Jackson Kayak was people like Bridget Valette that were out there, Noah Heck, that Stuart Venables that were out there taking the GoPro pictures back when GoPro was the big deal. And, basically that was all your kayak pictures for a long time. And, that was cool. You've seen them out there having fun, and it built a lifestyle. And you thought, man, that's cool. I want to be part of that. And next thing we know, we're at the department store, for lack of better terms, loading up a couple boats down in Clarksville. So that kind of,
did.
It took us out of the path that we thought we were on, and photos brought us there and inspired us to go a different direction. And here we are.
Which is we learned a lot with those first couple boats.
Learned a little bit about what not to do. Learned a little
within the first 12 hours. We were reinforcing the hull, and
our first kayaks weren't the best. They were decent. They wasn't by no means sketchy, but
all right.
They didn't come from Walmart.
Yeah.
Did we just get? I mean, I have to write somebody a check now because I said Walmart. That's good. But I think that inspiration drives from a lot, and I think all these people out there doing these things if they inspire one kid out there to go and try something, I think it's been well worth it.
Well, and also I'm a firm believer in whatever you're doing, take as many pictures as you can, or especially now with picture and video as easy as it is to take with your cell phone, capture those memories. I mean, to an extent, you don't want to let it interrupt your experience, right? You want to be there and be in the moment and be present, but at the same time, I want to capture as much as that, freeze as many moments in time as I can, so I can always go back and see those, versus just sitting in a rocking chair and trying to remember what something was like. I can actually hold it, look at it, feel it, or listen to it if we've got video.
Yeah, absolutely. And it might be a thing where we might be listening to this podcast one day. Old timer sitting in church. Hey, remember when we had the podcast? Yeah, all three people that listened to it.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it is cool. And I just recently started. We was talking a little bit with I think it was Fred, or maybe it was Lane. We was talking about printing the photos. I can't remember which one it was, but it's something I started last year was printing out my photos and actually sticking them on my wall. And it's kind of cool when I come in here to the office and I'm looking out in front of me, and I've got the pictures that I've taken, ones that are special to me for different reasons, and it's neat to have them. And I think to myself, like, I've already taken more pictures of my dog than probably what my parents took of me as a kid. No offense, Mom and Dad, if you're watching.
Yeah, for sure.
It just wasn't a thing. You had to get filmed, and you had to go to the store and have it developed, and there was like cost all the way through taking just a picture.
Yeah.
So now to have just all in the palm of your hand, really, and there's nothing wrong with cell phone cameras. They do a pretty good job these days. I like a little more, as well as you do, but it's
I personally kind of despise the cell phone photo, but that's just because I've been running a DSLR long enough now that I expect more out of a cell phone than it can actually deliver.
Yeah, that's true.
For what most folks are after, the best camera to have is the one you got, right?
Yeah, it's right there and in your pocket, and it's literally taking people around the world these days. I mean, the power that's in your pocket can go a long way. And, I think that too is something that people hopefully think about. I try to think about whenever I'm making a post, to keep it, PG-13 the best I can. Try to keep it G-rated if I can. But, it is what it is. Good inspirational guests, good inspirational people.
Yeah, we've had some good ones. I'm just sitting here kind of looking at my list, and I've got some good ones left.
So let's go over the list. Tell the people what we kind of have in store, what we're thinking. Just break it down for them. This is what's coming up. Hopefully,
one of the big questions is, do folks want to hear from manufacturers? Because I'm sure we could get some manufacturers on, to talk to about products that they have and how they, facilitate adventure or make your lives a little easier when you're out in the field and things like that. So our manufacturers, something that folks want to hear, would be a big one. I got more photographers. I got a couple guys in the hunting space that are working for some big companies. I got a buddy who is in South Africa, owns his own. It's called African Bow Hunting Adventures. So his own guide service down there. They go out. I just checked his story earlier. I think one of his clients that are down there with him right now, they got on a big hippo yesterday. So that was pretty cool to see. Giant animal. I got another guy who's in the media space, does a lot of creative work for a big clothing manufacturer, among others. We got some big fishermen. I don't know if we can get them, but we can certainly try.
We've got our dream fishing list.
For sure.
That is for sure.
One of the guys who, I don't know about you, but I followed for a long time. They had one of the very first hunting TV shows that filmed with DSLRs, and they literally transformed what hunting TV shows look like and what they should look like and should feel like these days. And storytelling and visual, just the whole visual experience, they elevated that entire game. So he's one of the dudes from that. I'm quite sure I could get him on. We've chatted a couple times just through Instagram, so it's not like I know him, but we have talked.
We've talked. Yeah. That's,
we shared DMs, so we're best friends.
We're best friends on the internets.
Yeah.
But I mean,
yeah, but no, there's some guys out there. I got one guy I talk to regularly. He films for some of the bigger hunting TV shows that are out there right now, so we could definitely get some folks on and talk about some pretty cool experiences.
Honestly, it's not the Orion Podcast for you listeners out there. We don't want to limit it to hunting and fishing. So if you know somebody that's like a cool rock climber, drop it in the comments, because we don't know any rock climbers, and we don't know any like sailboat enthusiasts or anything like that, but we're down to learn.
Yeah, there's big guests that do cool things and adventure pretty hard. We'd love to talk to him, especially if it's somebody you guys find inspirational for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, 120%. It's we want to produce a podcast that you guys enjoy listening to, and like I said, I hope you're inspired. The messages that we've got from a lot of you guys out there have been freaking cool, and that's one of the big things we want to say is thank you to all the people that are listening. I know a lot of people don't catch the live, but we usually will go back and we'll see the views, 24 hours later. And it's like, that many people listen to us. Okay. And that's cool. That's a good testament. And it's great when we get a message from any of you guys that listen, that drop in the comments and say, man, we really liked hearing from this guy, or, you have a question for the guest and different things like that. And that's inspiring. For us as creators of this podcast, it's inspiring to know that you guys enjoy what you're listening to.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just the name right there. A guy, he actually works for Bass Pro Cabela's. Manages like their signature series events. Right now, they're actually in Africa on a big safari doing some conservation work and snapping some super cool photos. He was within 5 yards of a giant bull elephant yesterday, getting to snap some photos with his camera. So that was super, super cool to see. But yeah, he's a good one. He's big in conservation. He's a good hunter, big family man. So he'd be a great one to talk to as well.
We've got a little bit of time as we're heading towards you're heading into your season altogether, and I'm kind of, I would say I'm more at the 5/8 point of my season, because I got to go over, or if not into December. Let's talk a little bit about what you got going on. For those of you guys that don't know, Zach's a bow hunter, part-time fisherman, full-time bow hunter. You can see the Hoyts in the back. Let's talk a little bit about your plans this year and where you're headed. Kind of go over the equipment as you get ready for the big hunt season.
Yeah, right now what's that? How am I going to fill
how you going to fill your Orion cooler up? That's what they want to know.
Hopefully by stacking does in the truck this fall. I got to work a good event for Hoyt last weekend at a local pro shop, which was cool to see. It was that shop up there is super impressive. They've got a massive archery department, everything from food plot equipment, apparel, obviously the bows, targets, broadheads, you name it. And then you move up, they got a massive fishing area, and then their whole firearms counter and everything. It's just a super cool place. So it's always fun to get out, do a little work for the company, and just go and kind of represent them and talk to customers and folks that get to come in and really just start swapping hunting stories and seeing what guys are running this year and things like that. It definitely gets you fired up when you get to be around everybody and swap those stories. So I'm at a point right now, I should be a lot further along than I am, but with the kids the age they are, it is
corner.
Show your corner. No, I'm not showing that corner. That's why everything is back there. with the kids the age they are, though, it's tough to find that extra time right now. So I got to get sight tapes on both the bows, which shouldn't take me, 10, 15 shots, and we can start really kind of start dialing things in. Um, get them both dialed in, and then headed home around Labor Day. So I hunt here in Pennsylvania. It'll be a lot of private or public ground. I'm not nearly as selective on what I'm shooting here in this state. I'm pretty opportunistic when it comes to Pennsylvania hunting. It's not like I am when I go back home and hunt private ground. So family farms I've been hunting for years. And, I like to be pretty selective on my bucks and shoot mature stuff and, let the little ones walk to grow into big ones. And I spend a lot of time putting out mineral throughout the year, and I've got several cameras out. I like watching them and kind of taking inventory and see who's moving through the farm. And so we'll be home for Labor Day. I get to hopefully drag you out with me and get sticks up trees. I've not had one on me all year. Get up there, trim shooting lanes, trim trails, in and out, make sure they're fairly clean so I can get in and out without breaking any sticks or anything like that, making too much noise. Swap all the camera cards and batteries one more time and kind of get things moved to some transition areas, just outside bedding areas, things like that. We're going to start seeing a lot more movement come October. And once the bucks start dropping the velvet and see a little bit more movement. But the unit just south of me up here, September 15th, I think, is when they open up, and then the rest of the state opens up October 1st. So I can start getting after it here pretty soon, which is good because I need to put a lot in the freezer. The freezer's looking pretty bare. So,
well, and that's one of the nice things about being in PA is you've got a little extra time, I guess, to get out in the woods ahead of when we start here in Indiana. Which would be nice. I mean, it really goes a long way.
Yeah, and that unit down there is fairly doe heavy. It's a more urban area around a lot of housing developments and stuff like that. So we can get in there. The deer, it's not quite like hunting fully wild deer, but pretty close. They're just around people a lot more, so they're kind of conditioned,
Right.
Scent control and stuff like that's not quite as important as it is when I get out on the farm out home where nobody is ever there. So,
well, I think it's going to be a good time. I can't wait to get out and trim the shooting lanes. It's been a while since I've been out trimming shooting lanes. Glad I'm going to be using a camera instead of trimming the shooting lanes. I'm sure you'll make me pick up some sticks, but it's a good time, and I think there's a lot of fun work and labor that go into getting ready for a season. There's practicing to do it right. There's building your equipment up to do it right. I know you've spent a lot of time building your new hunting bow from Hoyt and getting it just how you want it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that tinkering as an outdoorsman, outdoors person that really goes a long way. I mean, it keeps us busy in the off season, and it makes us better at what we do.
Yeah, it gets you more familiar with your equipment. Anytime, good grief, we started doing that a long time. It's more or less your fault I'm in all this stuff as deep as I am at this point. But
this is true.
I mean, we started, you drug me into indoors and then 3D and stuff like that I had no idea what's going on. And next thing you know, we're cutting and fleshing arrows in your basement and trying to tune bows with equipment we did not have and just kind of playing it by feel. But and then from there it was 45 minutes to the closest archery shop. So we did for a long time and come to a point where we kind of partnered with an outfit out of Georgia who made a lot of the equipment that we needed to kind of more or less work on our own gear. And that's, at this point, I've got a full archery shop in my basement. I don't have to go anywhere or have anybody work on my stuff because I do it all. And it's one more level of being that much more familiar with my stuff. So if something moves, if something breaks, if something comes loose, I can go take care of it, put it right back where it's supposed to be, and I'm back shooting within a few minutes.
Yeah, and one good point there that you mentioned was indoor shooting and target archery.
Yeah.
That is something that you don't really see a whole lot of online unless you're used to it or you
Well,
follow
and
that
unless you're
crowd
in that
very
space,
heavily.
yeah. Yeah.
It's a very I I would still call it a very small niche. I mean, it's
Yeah, I mean, you gotta
respectively
have a
large.
drive.
Yeah, it's respectively large in its own genre, but
Oh,
when you
for
look at
sure.
most things, it's probably a little bit smaller group of people. But if you're into archery, or you think you might be into archery, target archery is a great way to get out there and just have some fun, meet some new people, and shooting
Have some
indoors
fun and
is
shoot your bow year round.
yeah.
There's always somewhere to go shoot.
You can shoot 3D targets indoors, which are big foam fake
Animal shaped
targets,
blobs.
animal shaped blobs of foam. Um, and you've got spots, which is can get pretty intense. If
Yeah.
you're a perfectionist of any sorts, it will drive you mad,
Yep.
absolutely mad, and that's probably one of the biggest reasons that I had to take a little break.
Yeah. That's a game you have to want to go to because it is such a mental game as much as it is physical.
Yeah,
Just,
and
standing
you
there
can
at 20
overthink
yards
it.
staring at a tiny little X for, 30, 45, 60 arrows, depending on what you're shooting. And put the pressure on you for sure. You find out what you're made of.
Yeah, and the pressure, the fact that what can get to you is if that arrow is not dead center in that X,
Yeah.
and it's just microns over, it can if you're a perfectionist and you want the dead center, it will drive you nuts. Absolutely, drive you nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. Which you're not trying not to miss the X. You're trying to do the exact same thing for so many arrows in a row, you know?
Yeah, I mean, comparatively, it would be shooting a free throw the same way every single time, um, for 60 shots.
Yeah. And probably from the 3-point line.
Yeah, roughly.
when you
And if you
when
can't,
you start talking about Vegas, Vegas and shooting 3-spot and that tiny little baby X is about the size of a dime. It
yeah, absolutely.
She looks
It
small from 20 yards away.
it's a fun game though, and it's a really fun, especially like the outdoors target archery. That is a fun.
Yeah.
If you like numbers, it can be a really fun
Yeah.
numbers game. Um,
Field and 3D are by far those are two things I would love to get back into, traveling and shooting some bigger tournaments again.
oh yeah, it was always a good time. Um, fishing wise, I think you got a couple more trips left in you though. Got at
We'll
least
see.
one. You should got at least
We'll
one
see.
left in you.
Time
We're
is
time is
is
ticking.
the that's the kind of judge when it comes to all of it. Our trips home with the kids and trying to get around and see everybody, and it really makes it tough to kind of get out and get work done that I need to get done too. But we definitely need to get out for at least one more if we can squeeze it. For
Yeah,
sure.
I feel like we haven't knocked your big fish moment down for this year.
Yeah.
We need to make that happen. I've been looking. I
Caught a lot of shorts this year so far.
spent spent a few hours back out on the Dead Sea here recently,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm looking for them. I haven't found them. That's one of my freaking things is I've went to a lot of places, but I haven't went to like the big place here at home yet
Yeah.
very much. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like I'm a little far behind on that lake and getting caught up, but I'm pretty much there. We've got a big fundraiser tournament coming to Monroe in October, so that's going to be one I'm going to be hitting. I can't remember what the date was, but off the top of my head, but that's one we're hoping to hit, and I think it'll be a good time. Does a little charity, so yeah, it'll be good. Fishing in October, then hopefully December. To round out the year, we'll be headed back down to God's country and hit Dale Holla.
There you go.
December or January. It's a hit or miss. It's one where you kind of got to watch the weather because if they get a freak snowstorm down there, yeah, you ain't getting out. Them roads down into that place are something gnarly. When you come down and you're knows your truck's pointing straight at the water and you've got to turn 90. Yeah, it's a little unnerving, especially if you're pulling a trailer. I don't know how they get them houseboats down there. Still curious.
Well, and they don't
knows.
own equipment to handle snow down there either, so that makes it a little different.
Yeah, they don't get as much as what we do for sure. But yeah, got a trip to the Cumberland River. Hopefully this weekend. We'll see how that goes. Kind of waiting to hear back from my dog sitter, dear daughter.
Yeah. We got one more Jeep Fest coming up in the fall, so I'll have a couple days to get out and run the trails a little bit more before I put that thing up to hibernate for the winter. That'll be good.
So you guys will be cold. You guys will start turning probably next month?
It usually starts cooling down a little bit about the middle of September, middle to late September. The nights will start getting cooler. Our days will still be in the 70s, but we'll start seeing upper 30s at night.
Wow.
Which honestly doesn't bother me a bit at nighttime. It's nice and keeps things cool. So
I'll still be wearing shorts.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I remember before I built the gym down here in the basement, running to the gym every morning at 5 o'clock. I was, doors off, top off the Jeep, just cruising at 38 degrees, defrost just blowing in your face.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't like being cold anymore.
It's a good way to wake up.
It's a great way to wake up.
You got all these people doing cold showers and cold plunges in tanks and stuff. Just jump in the Jeep and take a ride in 35 degrees.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty equivalent. There's a lot of that cold tank plunging going on. I'd like
to try it. I don't know how long I'd last, but I'd try it.
Everybody's going out and buying up all the deep freezes.
Yeah.
My
legs could use it today. That's for sure.
I don't know. I'll let you get one of those and then I'll try it that way. I don't think I'm going to fill up the deep freeze with water and put it here in the office.
I've seen it done. Caulking all the seams and then fill that sucker up, turn it on, and
I guess I could line it with something cool like cedar.
Yeah.
It'd be good.
Dress it up.
Dress it up. I wonder how long you got to plug that dude in for.
I don't know.
You just feel it.
The one Cam's got, it sits outside.
I just don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I'd want a deep freeze full of water.
It'd be interesting.
Interesting. I don't know how we got here, but this is what you get when you let us.
Well, just as sore as my legs are right now, I'm trying to think of all the ways I'm going to be able to recover here in the next 28 or 24 to 48 hours.
Dear free sleeves, if you're watching,
I would take a couple free sleeves. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'd like to have one.
Evan had some, and TSA confiscated them.
Really?
Yes.
So I guess it was whatever was in them.
I don't know. You know how it is. They look at something like that and they don't know what it is, and they think it's kind of fishy looking, and they pitch it.
I don't know, but
they didn't. They probably didn't get as excited as they did when I walked through security with 2 boxes of ammunition in my backpack that I forgot was in there.
Well, I did really good. I had a whole bunch of hooks one year when I went to ICAST, and I had my cell phone charger cord rolled up like so. So what I did was I widened that dude out, and I started stuffing the hooks and all the sharp points inside like this and set it vertical. So when it was scanned through, it just looked like all the wires in my charging cord.
Well, I've gotten through with my Leatherman tool, my Skeletal, probably twice, going to and coming back from Colorado. I don't know how I got through with that, but I'm glad I did.
That last flight from Vegas for home from ICAST about done me, and I don't think I'm good. I'm gonna drive. I'm gonna drive everywhere.
Yeah, that's a haul.
I'm taking the Seth Fighter route where I'm done flying. I don't fly no more. If you need me,
I mean, boy, it'd be easier to drive out west to hunt if I was just a little bit further that direction. From over here, everything's about 27 to 30 hours straight time. No stops.
Well, and you're 8 hours from home, technically.
Yeah, Yeah, and I
So,
mean, I can cut a little bit of that off going, straight across instead of down.
right.
But yeah, it's still, when I drove to the Springs from Indiana in 2015, I took my time getting out there and still did it in under 18 hours. And coming back, I only stopped for gas. So we didn't stop for any meals or anything unless it was a truck stop. And I made it in just over 14.
That ain't too bad.
You get out there in Kansas, though, you don't see anybody at all on the interstates. You just hammer
Just
down
go.
and set the cruise and hope you don't hit a deer or a cow.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna do this for the people. Strangest gas station story. Strangest gas station on the road. What do you got?
I really don't know that I have any. Most of the time, if I'm at a gas station, I pay at the pump, and if I go in, it's just to get something to drink, and I'm back out. So I really don't know that I've had any strange gas station stories that come to mind.
Right. I'd still go back to probably my weirdest. It ain't even a gas station story. I'd say my weirdest encounter was it White River down south, and it was one of those deals where we met some random guy. He was walking up from the dam. He'd been fishing. He looked right at me and Mr. Flynn, and he said, "You boys got to get down there and own it." He used some other words, but he told us we needed to get down there and own it. And he gave us a big inspirational speech about going down there and owning it. Just if there was somebody in the way, you just move them out of the way and just own it. And he was 3 sheets to the wind, needless to say. And it was a good talk, but we felt inspired, and I went down there and caught a big old drum.
Yeah, I mean, as far as sketchy stories go, I'd say the most sketchy is when you and I were headed down for our Memorial Day trip. And we couldn't see the guy in front of us because of the sun shining through the windshield the way it was that early in the morning. And as we drove past the individual, he thought apparently we were trying to hit him. And in the rearview mirror, you could see him pull the firearm and point it in our direction.
Yeah, I forget about that.
That was probably the more sketchy road trip story.
Yeah, I understand. But I'd forgot about that one. Well, kids, that looks like it is going to wrap us up tonight. We've got our sketchy stories out of the way. You got to hear a little bit from us.
Yeah.
I don't know what you learned or how inspired you are, but I hope that our guests have inspired you. And we will be back in action with a guest. We promise we'll have a guest next time.
Whether it's Facebook or YouTube, either one. If you guys have folks that you want to see on the podcast or here on the podcast, leave it in the comments. Let us know.
Drop them in the comments, and we will see you back on the 23rd, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Orion Podcast. Remember, Orion coolers are on sale. Check us out at jacksonkayak.com. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Peace.